James Kaufman, World News Report today, October 26, 2024. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really curious about that solar flare and the proton storm we're in, so I decided to go over to CERN, and it looks like they're doing proton physics. And it actually looks like they lost their feed here, although the machine was almost maxed out. 15 TeV or trillion volts is all the machine can do. And if you add up the blue and the red lines here right below 7,000, you're very close to 15 trillion volts. You're around 13,800 trillion volts. Now it looks like they lost their beams for a bit, but it looks like it's going again. And what really bothers me about that, and tell me what you think, they've been on this since yesterday, coincidentally. Why are they doing proton physics in the middle of a proton storm? And we're not seeing any protons being generated from the solar flare on LASCO C3 or really anywhere else except for our proton flux. Over to GOES proton flux. We see nothing on LASCO C3 as far as protons coming from the flare. And we all know that the other flare happened on the 24th. Can no longer see that unless we hit the 7-day chart here. So it happened at 4 UTC time right about here on the 24th. Well, that's actually when they started their proton physics experiment at CERN. And it kept going up and up and up. And by it, I mean the protons that were striking our GOES satellite. They kept increasing, and even right here during the event, the huge flare, we don't see a spike up, not until 6.5 hours later. And that's the same time period we see CERN go full speed or full blast, if you will. And then it takes, well, a dive, and then it shoots back up. And currently we see it took a dive, and you can see it's about to shoot back up. And we're seeing the GOES 50 million volts move along with the GOES 100 million volts. But this is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours after the supposed X flare. We can also see that it's taken a little hiccup and headed down, but it looks like it's starting back up. You can see the same things happened here twice. Now, I find it a bit coincidental that they're doing proton experiments. We're not seeing protons come from our sun on LASCO C3. We're in a huge polar cap absorption event, i.e. protons are pouring in the poles, i.e. radiation, according to our D-Region Absorption Prediction Center. But every time CERN has a little hiccup and they lose their beam, we see these corrections. And when the beam turns back on, we see the proton count continue to go higher. And they've just turned the beam on, and you can see that it's turning back up here. Laugh out loud, so funny, ladies and gentlemen, but they've turned the feed off, so I can't line that up with you guys. Although we know the beams 1 and 2 are still enabled. They say loss of maps at flat top. It also says programmed beam dump here. So, in fact, if the protons start to diminish again after they're moving back up, we're going to know something is seriously wrong here. And this machine here, the most powerful machine on Earth as far as we know, may have something to do with this proton storm. Again, they're doing proton physics in the middle of a proton storm. I am more than confused because the proton storm doesn't match up to the solar flares that they showed us. And we don't get a jump during any of those time periods, but we seem to get a jump when the beams are active again. Now again, at 4 UTC time on the 24th, we supposedly saw an X 3.33. What a number, right? And we really didn't see a spike in the protons instantly like we should have. And like I showed you on the Absorption Prediction Center map, it didn't light up like a Christmas tree. We had another flare today, and that was right here. And there's no large spike up either. It's slowly been running up. From what? This flare back here at 4 UTC time, slowly been running up. And then here, we should see some action this time period here, but we don't for about 6.5 more hours. Then we see it shoot up, shoot down, which I have no idea what could cause that unless it is CERN causing this proton storm. And then it shot up, and as the power went down at CERN, it looks like it's actually deteriorating. Now, I don't even understand what CERN does, but the fact that they're running proton experiments in Earth-centered proton storm is, well, very curious to me. I'm going to actually keep CERN's beams on another computer that I have to my left. I have 2 of them to my left. And we're going to watch those beams come on and off. And if they correspond with the dips in these proton storms, we're going to know that this is a man-made situation. So it looks like CERN has dumped their beams. And that could mean that the proton storm would dissipate. I don't know how quickly, but I will keep an eye on it. And if it does start to dissipate, as of right now, because we saw them turn it off right now, right before 10 p.m. Central, the planned dump was right for 9:52 Central. And this is 3:52 some other time. We actually did see them turn it off just around 8 minutes ago, or a little less than 8 minutes ago. Awful peculiar that they're running proton physics experiments and we're in a proton storm, in my opinion. Again, I'm not saying that this is the cause of it. I don't understand quite what they're doing at CERN, but I do find it awful coincidental that they're running a proton physics experiment and we're in the middle of a proton storm that doesn't really match up or spike when we're seeing X flares on our solar models. Now, y'all tell me what you think in the comments below. Y'all saw this turn off while we were live, and we have seen the beams or the proton flux look like it might be slowly subsiding. Let's take another look. Now, when it was off, we saw it subside, then we saw it come on for just a few moments. If it subsides again and does it more quickly, we're going to know that there's a huge problem, and this might be a man-made event. Again, I don't quite understand what's going on over at CERN, but I do know that we're in a strange proton storm without any protons hitting our LASCO camera, and all of a sudden I find out that CERN is doing proton experiments. So, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, could there be a connection here? I really don't know, but I thought it was more than interesting. If the proton storm subsides at this point, we'll know exactly what's going on. With that said, God bless you and yours. Please share, subscribe, and always remember, anything's possible in Bizarro World.